Galamera. Good morning. I didn't expect to be up this early this morning to do a broadcast, but because I need to get certain things done in town, I am up with the larks this morning. Jane is obviously up early because she's having to go to the port this morning. She's involved with trips up to the shipwreck of a few hundred people that are going out today on a boat up to the north of the island. So I thought I'd start the broadcast by looking at the location where the fire was yesterday, and I'll have more details of that. You can see the area here. If I put my finger comes in, bring my finger in. Where's my finger, Ginge? Ginge, where's your finger? Oh God, I can't see it. My finger's gone. Anyway, the little white building on the right, okay, that was a house. Okay, and if you go left of that, you can see like a little zigzag. Well, that's where the fire was. It worked its way from there and over the crest of the hill and on the other side. There was also one of the aircraft crashed yesterday while actually trying to fight the fire. And I'll come into more detail on that when I actually do my report. But anyway, that is the location where the fire was. It is basically halfway between Kilimenos and Macardo, and some people were mistaking it for another location yesterday, and I think that's because they were looking at it from a different angle. But anyway, the fire is out. The fire brigade were there till quite late, dampening down, making sure that it didn't spring up again in the early hours or if the wind blew up. So at the moment, as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's any fire truck still up there, although I must admit there is a red shape up there. Whether that is a fire truck or not, I don't know, but maybe they have got somebody up there just to keep an eye on it. But anyway, I want to crack on with the news for today as well. So I switch the camera around, and there you go, there's me. Let me just zoom out a bit. There you go. Don't want me frightening you first thing in the morning. Right, so first of all, let's have a quick look at the weather. Thank you to Amanda again for a concise weather report. She says, morning, Ginge. Monday's weather, hazy with sun. It's going to be very hot again. Temperatures 35 degrees, will feel like 37. Have a great day. Again, another fire risk was issued by the Fire Protectorate here on Zakynthos for Monday, the 9th of August. They said very high fire risk is foreseen with the risk category 4 of our island, and they are now in what they call their second stage of operational readiness, and that has been implemented as well. Basically, all sort of work in fields is banned at the moment using any type of equipment that can cause heat or generate heat, like circular saws, soldering irons, welding machines, smoking bees machines, and equipment like that. People are also reminded about lighted cigarettes. Also, don't forget, there is also the curfew as well in regards fire. That curfew starts at 6 o'clock and goes through up until 6 o'clock in the morning, where people are not allowed in certain forest areas. And the rule is just stay off the beaten path, stay on the metalled roads, don't go off exploring in your 4x4 or in your quad bike or whatever. Stay on the metal roads. At the moment, as far as I'm aware, the observation post looking down towards the shipwreck at the moment is still closed because that area is deemed a fire risk down there. So at the moment, we're going to see how today goes after yesterday's activities with the fire here on Zakynthos. Just a quick one, arrivals today. We've got a lot of arrivals today. We've got a flight in from Doncaster. We've got 2 in from Birmingham, 2 in from Manchester, 3 in from London. And we also have finally an East Midlands flight in as well. So quite a lot of Brit flights in today in Zakynthos. COVID in the last 24 hours. There has been a drop in COVID in the last 24 hours, which I know a lot of people are going to be very pleased about. We were at 2,768 new cases on my last report. That has dropped to 1,852 new cases detected across the country. We had 9 new cases identified at entries into the country. That was up slightly from 7 on the previous. Now, looking at the islands of interest that we've been following. There were 13 cases on Mykonos. Rhodes has got 60 cases, so quite a high number for Rhodes. Can I say thank you to Steve Kimberley for your comments. Steve has now gone back to the UK, and he thanked me for the information about what was going on there. He had a bit of an interesting holiday, what with the fires, power cuts and everything else that was going on, and he's hoping to come to Zakynthos in September. Hopefully you'll get here, mate. It'll be good to see you. But he said Rhodes was, shall we say, an interesting holiday. But anyway, they've got 60 cases confirmed yesterday on that island. There were 6 cases on Macardo. There were 31 cases on Corfew. That's our neighbour up the road. I've got to be honest, their epidemiology rate is still very high. Why they're not in the red at the moment, I don't know. But we'll wait and see what happens there. Kefalonia, they only had 5, which is a good positive for them. And as for Zakynthos, we had 16 cases confirmed here on the island. So that puts our epidemiology at the moment 886 positive cases since the beginning of the year. And in August alone now, we've had 109 positive cases here on Zakynthos. So hopefully by the end of this week, we should actually come out of this mini lockdown, music ban, and I should hopefully get back to work, obviously, by Friday. Fingers crossed, all being well. Right, when it comes to deaths across the country at the moment, unfortunately, that has crept up. 10 deaths were reported on my last report, 17 deaths reported now. That means the death toll now has been 13,075. 96% of those people had underlying health problems, all were over the ages of 70. And again, our condolences to families that are affected. Going down to critical cases are now becoming a bit of a concern. They are up again. Remember, they were 198 the other day. Now they're up to 204 at the moment. That's 120 males, 78 female in ICUs across the country. Once again, just to remind you that the top mark is 900. Okay, that's how many beds in ICUs that the Greek Health Service has. And we are now starting to see it starting to creep up. Anyway, hopefully this is just a little blip, and obviously they may start to go down. Right, let's get on to the news then from yesterday. Let's look at what's been going on. Right now in Zakynthos, we've actually had 2 fires over the weekend. Zakynthos has experienced its first fires that have been due to the excessive heat. First one again was in the village of Macardo. Now, I did mention this the other day, but because it hadn't been officially announced in any of the press, I wasn't going to say anything just in case that I had the facts or something wrong. But anyway, a fire did break out in a house around about 11 o'clock on the Saturday in Macardo. The fire department was called, obviously. 6 fire trucks, 18 firefighters attempted to get to the spot and locate the fire, which obviously was then could have spread to nearby houses. Anyway, it seems that a house was burned. Fortunately, the owner was okay. The exact cause of the fire at the moment is under investigation by the Ministry of Defence and also will be addressed. So at the moment, that fire was a house fire and not really connected with what was going on in the way of the wildfires. But anyway, it's our first sort of, shall we say, major fire of what's been going on currently when you consider what's happening in the rest of Greece. Anyway, Sunday then saw a wildfire here in Zakynthos around the area of Macardo and Kilimenos. That is what I've just shown you. Also, a Pezetel firefighting aircraft crashed in Zakynthos yesterday in the area of Kilimenos. It clipped pine trees according to reports, and apparently according to reports the aircraft had suffered some damage while attempting to extinguish the fire. And it was around the area of Capeluso, which is between Macardo and Kilimenos, and the pilot had experienced some form of difficulty in obviously controlling the aircraft. Now, the 35-year-old pilot managed to avoid the built-up area of Kilimenos, which would obviously limited his crash crash consequences. However, his aircraft caused another fire when it did crash, and fire crews and locals obviously turned out in order to control that fire. Now, the pilot is reported to be safe. It was not made clear if he had bailed from the aircraft or he had stayed with the aircraft, but anyway, he was transported to the 251 General Aviation Hospital for precautionary reasons by a Super Puma helicopter of the Greek Air Force. And I actually do remember seeing that Super Puma actually flying over the house, not realizing that probably there was a pilot on board being taken to hospital. So at the moment, still no feedback about the conditional state of the pilot. I must admit, from the pictures that were shown in the local media, the guy was very, very lucky indeed. The aircraft is a complete and utter write-off. It has been destroyed. And basically, the Pezetel firefighting aircraft is basically just a single-seat, small, best way to describe it, it just looks like a little crop duster, sort of aircraft you see flying around, spraying fields and that, and it's obviously converted, obviously, for firefighting duties. Anyway, the pilot, it said, is in good health, according to the announcement by the GEA. The cause of the accident is being investigated, and the aircraft, the Pezetel, belonged to the 359th Squadron of Public Service Air Service in Kefalonia. So that was where the aircraft came to fight the fire yesterday. Now, authorities dedicated most of their resources to tackling 4 major blazes here in Greece. The second largest was in Evia still. That's burned now for 5 days, cutting across the island from coast to coast and isolating its northern part. And there's been 3 other fires in the southern Peloponnese region. Now, a 5th dangerous fire just north of Athens appeared to be on the wane after burning dozens of homes and businesses in the Greek capital's northern suburbs, triggering the evacuation of thousands of people and disseminating large tracts of forests, including Mount Pathani and the national park, one of the last forests near Athens. Now, one volunteer firefighter died in the blaze after suffering head injuries. I spoke about him the other day from a falling pylon. At least 20 people have been treated in hospital for fire-related injuries, including 2 firefighters who are in intensive care. The causes of the fires are under investigation. Now, interestingly, 3 people were arrested on Friday in the Greater Athens area, central and southern Greece, on suspicion of starting blazes in 2 cases, and they were intentional, they said. Another person, a 47-year-old Greek, was arrested on Saturday afternoon in Athens suburb of Petropouli for lighting 2 fires in a grove and setting 4 dumpsters on fire, police also said. Between Saturday night and Sunday, Greek Coast Guard vessels and ferries evacuated 83 more people from beaches in northern Evia. Authorities urged the residents of 4 villages in the north of Evia also to be evacuated as well. Now, on Friday night, more than 1,000 people were evacuated from the island by sea as flames raged on a hillside behind them, cutting off any means of escape. Now, local officials and residents in North Evia called in to television news programs on Saturday appealing for more firefighters and water dropping planes as the fire that broke out on Tuesday afternoon raced towards villages. The blaze has obliterated vast swathes of forest and burned scores of homes on the island of rugged mountains and was popular with people on holiday and also campers. Now, the fire department said 575 firefighters with 35 ground teams and 89 vehicles were battling the Evia wildfire, including 112 Romanian and 100 Ukrainian firefighters sent to Greece as reinforcements. I also got news yesterday that there are also being firefighters sent from the United Kingdom, from Liverpool of all locations. The only thing at the moment that has not been officially confirmed in any of the Greek media at the moment. So hopefully, yes, that information is correct, that also the United Kingdom is also getting involved in sending help to Greece. Anyway, 4 helicopters, 3 planes, including a massive Beref 200 plane, which was leased from Russia, is also providing air support as well. 10 countries have already sent personnel and firefighters, equipment such to Greece, while another 8 are sending further reinforcements. The Greek Prime Minister, Mr. Mitsotakis, on Saturday visited the fire department's headquarters in Athens and expressed his deep sadness for the volunteer firefighter's death, who was killed by the falling pylon while racing to help fight a fire. He later visited the airport from which the firefighting planes take off and thanked the pilots both in Greek and French. Anyway, securing aid for everyone affected by wildfires will be my first political priority. I didn't like that word, political priority. But anyway, the Prime Minister said, promising that all burnt areas would be reforested. Anyway, Mitsotakis also said, when this nightmarish summer has passed, we will turn our attention to repairing the damage as fast as possible and restoring our natural environment. The Greek and European officials have blamed climate change for the large number of fires that burned throughout southern Europe in recent days, from Italy to the Balkans, Greece and Turkey. Massive fires have also burned across Siberia in northern Russia for weeks, forcing the evacuation Saturday of dozens of villages. In all, wildfires have burnt nearly 15 million acres this year in Russia. Also, meanwhile, it seems that the US is also experiencing hot, bone-dry, gusty weather conditions, and this has also fueled devastating wildfires in California. So it seems at the moment the whole world is on fire at the moment, and like they're blaming climate change for it. I'm not sure it's all to do with climate change, and I like to get that into kind of a bit of perspective. I think it's arson. I think it's people that are out themselves who like to watch the flames dance. And the great thing about Greece at the moment, they have an idea who a lot of these characters are, and they're either arresting them before something happens or they're arresting them while they're in the act of doing it. So those people are on a list. Now, another disturbing story that came out over the weekend about what's been going on in regards to fires. It seems a crew from Open TV, a Greek television station here, was covering the fires in northern Attica. Now, they were attacked by unknown assailants at 2 a.m. on Saturday, causing extensive damage to equipment and the car of the journalists and technicians, while one of the reporters was actually hit in the face. Now, this incident took place a few meters away from a police block, with victims complaining that none of the officers at the scene intervened to stop the attack or arrest the perpetrators. Now, according to police sources, the perpetrators wore insignia of the Ike Football Club. However, this was not confirmed by testimonies of the journalists and technicians that were attacked. Anyway, the victims said that the attackers cursed the TV stations and the way that they had covered the anti-vaccination movement, leading to the assertion that the assailants belonged to far-right groups that went to the area as volunteers. Anyway, that is kind of a worry, I think. First of all, that the police didn't intervene in stopping an attack on a television crew that's covering what I would say is humanitarian aid that's being helped. Two, seems to be at the moment trying to link anti-vaxxers again to what's been going on with the fires. I think that is an absolute let's look over there at that rather than let's question mandatory vaccinations, which is part of one of the gripes from the anti-vax side is it's the mandatory vaccination, not the actual vaccination itself. But also this next story, this is also playing into the hands of that as well. It seems that the main vaccination centre in Prestiri in Western Athens, a suburb of there, was placed in emergency mode on Friday after unknown assailants cut the wiring of the generator for the refrigerators, placing thousands of vaccines at risk. Now, the alert was raised amid fears of a possible power outage due to the fires that continued to rage across northern Attica. The generators were supposed to be active in the case of such power failures. An inspection revealed that 4 cables measuring 4 meters in length and 2.5 centimeters in diameter that connected the generator to the center had been cut. The incident was reported to the police, who are investigating whether the incident was linked to thieves who steal cables for their copper content or a case of sabotage, possibly by anti-vaxxers. So again, this correlation, trying to link the fires in some respects to anti-vaxxing, is a big danger. Please don't fall for this, what I would call bullshit kind of maneuver. It's going to be interesting to see that when compensation is going to be given out for the fires that Mitsotakis is promising. Are you going to have to be vaccinated first before you are able to get any compensation? These are all questions that are going to be asked, and this is what's going to happen. If idiots out there are thinking that somehow destroying the first responders' job to fight fires, cutting supplies of electric to refrigeration thing is going to somehow endear our argument, shall we say, about forced mandatory vaccination towards people who are already vaccinated, and towards the government that obviously has in its agenda to vaccinate people mandatory by force, basically, is not going to endear us to that. All right. So please, if there's anybody out there that's involved in any of this, start thinking, start using your head. Don't start thinking that this is an opportunity now to push the agenda. All it does is basically push people away from the let's look at the common sense side of this as to whether I want to be mandatory vaccinated or not, and not obviously using the fires as a cover for the government now to forcibly follow the path that they want to follow, simply because people are exhausted basically through the fires. So again, as one thing happens somewhere, another thing's happening another way. And also that word that the Prime Minister used, my political, the political statement that he said, that I'm just going to go back to what he actually said. But his political, my first political priority is the word that he said. Political priority, not humanitarian priority, but political priority will be that the burnt areas should be reforested. That should be a humanitarian thing, not a political thing. And again, this is what's happened with COVID. It's all become very, very political rather than humanitarian. Anyway, another big story here at the moment, literally hot off the press first thing this morning. It seems that a party ship from Zakynthos was raided by police on Saturday night for breaking COVID restrictions. 7 locals, crew members of the vessel, were arrested. A port police patrol boat located the party vessel, which was in the area offshore of Longu, in the area of Vasilikos. Now, the party vessel had 272 passengers on board. The vessel was taken into the port of Zakynthos, accompanied by the patrol boat, where it landed safely. The Zakynthos Port Authority, which is conducting a preliminary investigation and procedure of imposing administrative sanctions on the vessel and the crew members, and is also now seeking the owner of the vessel as well in regards to what has gone on over the weekend. So once again, all I can say now is that the authorities are out and about. They're still checking. Just to remind everybody, we still have a compulsory music ban in all public places. We still have our curfew that kicks in at 1 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the morning. And at the moment, I'm not really aware of how that is going at the moment around the island. Basically, Jane and I have been enjoying a little bit of free time together in the evenings. It's a bit strange, actually. I feel like I should be back at work at the moment. Well, bless her, Jane is out like working all hours of the day. Bless her. She's up doing the shipwreck now, and then she's going to be finishing there this afternoon, and then she's down to the airport to meet people flying in from the UK on various flights there. So anyway, that's it from me for today. I'm going to be now shooting off into town. I've got jobs to do there. Once again, I'll keep my ear to the ground. Can I just say thank you again to all the people who sent messages of concern, messages of support. Trust me, where the fire was, it was miles away from where we are. Fantastic job by our local fire brigade to get that fire under control so that we are not looking as bad as some of the other areas of Greece are, because trust me, what we've got happening here is really small fry in comparison to what's going on in other locations in the country. And so everybody here is safe. There is no immediate danger at the moment. A lot of it is about personal responsibility from people, making sure that you do as you're told, don't go off the beaten path, be careful with your cigarettes, don't decide you're going to have a barbecue in the middle of the wooded area somewhere or something stupid of that nature, and just basically just have some common sense about what's going on, all right? And I think we should be all right, because the last thing we want is anything on the scale of Evia, because at the moment our tourist season is as fragile as anything at the moment. A lot of this is because it's been put into that position by the authorities above us, okay, especially with the mini lockdown and all the other stuff that's going on. And what's more, we don't need idiots to cause a fire, which just then compounds what's already going on, and we see our season being cut drastically or even being stopped because holiday companies think it's too much of a danger to come to Zakynthos. It's not a danger. We are safe. You probably wouldn't even known everything was going on if it wasn't for me or the press. But when you look at the television screens for Sky News, Greek Sky News, Ant, Open, all the other major channels just on screens in bars because no music's allowed, it looks like Dante's Inferno. And for some parts of Greece it is, but it isn't here. So please, please, please do not overreact to what's going on. Right, that's it from me. I'm going to disappear away. Thank you to all those people who tuned in at this ungodly hour of the morning for you. I know it's the wee hours of the morning, and you're watching this with your cornflakes this morning. That is for sure. But anyway, I'll let you get on. I'll keep my ear to the ground. I'll see how things go. Ta-ra.